Okay, it's time to finish up the good old psi orders with the biokinesis. So these guys are pretty much the super spies. Think of like James Bond, 007, shaken not stirred. So as I flip to the actual psi order, so let's see here. That's Origin Tech, and here we go with the biokinetics. Nova Forca de Nacionales, the new national force. These guys are stationed down in South America. So now, of course, in the 22nd century, the Americas kind of flip-flopped. South America has much more influence than North America does in our current timeline and everything. So, but anyway, with the biokinesis, this aptitude gives the psion complete control of his body. He channels psionic energy to adapt, enhance, and even restructure his own physiology. Noeticists divide biokinesis into the adaptation, psychomorphin, and transmography modes. Adaptation. The psion uses this mode to protect himself against hostile environments, from being underwater for extended periods of time to being able to maneuver without danger in non-standard gravity. Psychomorphin. The gifted can manipulate his internal physiology, growing redundant organs, and even subsume bioware into himself. Transmography. This mode enables the psion to change the shape of his own body. Effects range from creating weapons from the psion's own skin and bones to assuming someone else's appearance. Again, hence the super spy. So like someone like me could turn myself into looking like Michael Jordan or Tom Brady or something and pass off and the whole opens up a whole new a can of worms with the being able to slip in and out of places. Hence, these guys are, like I said, the super spies. So, the Eon Trinity mission parameters. As a biokinetic, you possess utter control of your physical form. You can change the shape of your face, grow additional limbs, create patterns on your skin, and even mend your own wounds. You are our spies and infiltrators. You venture into hostile territories and adapt yourself to their conditions. Be it a frigid tundra or war-torn Europe, you take on whatever role necessary to discover the plots and schemes of our enemies. You are the ultimate everyman, a spy beyond compare. You are essential to gaining access to areas that no one else can even approach. So that, like I said, explains why they're the super soldiers. Super soldiers are the legionnaires. These guys are the super spies. So Norca's interaction with other orders. The Norca have no cause for dispute with any of the other orders. They work closely with the Esculpians and Orgitech employees in a number of areas and consider the ministry to be kindred spirit. However, the biokinetics refuse cooperation and assistance at almost every turn. Such isolation makes relations between Norca and other psions increasingly difficult and sometimes counterproductive. Biokinetics who desert the Norca without proxy del Fuego's express consent are considered traitors to the order and to the South American people. Such rogues are hunted down without mercy and either executed publicly or returned to Del Fuego's remote facilities. It's unknown what happens to them at that point. By contrast, those who leave with their proxies bless them to venture anywhere unmolested by their Norca cousins, although they apparently may never return to the fold. So they are yes the ultimate spies, but they're also big into a lot of illicit activities like drug trade and they're kind of like buddies with all the cartels and everything. So that kind of explains why oh hey look, if someone leaves this order without the consent and everything, they might divulge all of our secrets and everything. And so again, and then even if they are with consent, it's like, yeah, you know too much to be able to come back in and everything. This is kind of think of a mafia family. So you can kind of see how these guys definitely deal with being spies. They definitely deal a lot with the underworld and everything. So, and we go to the good old trusty table for the powers and everything. And so again, these guys do have a basic technique, the three modes that I mentioned earlier. So with the biokinetics, their basic technique is the biosense, and with the adaptation, their abilities are metabolic efficiency, oxygen absorption, heightened reflex, biosync, and autonomic shunt. Psychomorphin is sense biokinesis, bioshift, assimilation, redundancy, and catabolus. And then transmography is gross manipulation, molding, transformation, body sculpt, and homunculus. So what's cool is these ones, the way the table is, these ones actually are the first ones in basically this table to go over the abilities and everything. So their basic technique of biosense. Biokinesis instills a keen sense of biological awareness in its practitioners. The psion perceives instinctively the presence of nearby living beings, from plants to animals to humans to even bioware. By tracing the psi energy flux emanating from all living things, the gifted may divine organisms' locations to within a few meters. A biokinetic can move through a crowd or a jungle, even if blinded, using biosense as a sort of living radar. Think of Daredevil, put on a blindfold and just kind of being able to walk through the whole crowd and be able to find their target and everything. So the good old character Daredevil with this. So this is how this works with the system. Roll psi. Success indicates that your character becomes aware of the presence, but not necessarily identity, of any living being within a radius of meters centered around your character equal to his psi score. So for instance, if you have a psi score of 5, basically 5 meters around you. So the subject's size affects the ease with which your character senses it. For example, a human is a standard psi roll, while a cat is a +1 difficulty and a jade plant is a +3 difficulty. So in a sense, you can see the smaller the biomatter that you have to sense, it's harder to detect, which kind of makes sense because it's a lot easier to even if we have our normal senses and it would, you and I, would be a lot easier to kind of pick someone out of the crowd like Andre the Giant versus someone who's a 4'11", 90-pound woman. That's kind of an example. So it's it'd be a lot easier to find Andre the Giant than that 4'11", 90-pound woman in the same crowd and everything. So while the location is revealed, no other information may be discerned without actual physical investigation. Biosense can be useful, but constant use can disrupt the game. The storyteller should consider the drama of the plot. If a psion uses biosense with each step he takes, the storyteller should apply a difficulty modifier or psi point cost, or even both. So again, it could be the more you use it, you could just all of a sudden put the blindfolds on and then just go and try to use biosense for the whole thing, and it kind of defeats the purpose of the basic technique. It's more of a general you get a sense instead of where are they? They're you tune in and oh, okay, so they're in that direction, so let's go that way and everything. So that's basically how their kind of technique works and everything. So those are pretty much the 6 orders that are in Trinity. Now there are the other 2 that I'll that finish off this video that I will briefly mention, but that you can't necessarily play in this game, because one vanished and the other one was destroyed and everything. So as I flip back to the psi orders, so I'm basically just finishing this up, just going to be mentioning the 2. So we got the teleporters and the Chitru Banu, Chitra. So the Upeu Wamachu, the Horizon, they're the teleporters. They were based in Africa, so they got a little blurb here, an inspiration for the future. Excerpt, teleporter Proxy Bolade Atwan in her universal address on September 31st in 2106. Upeu Wamachu is not only a promise, it is an inevitable evolution. I choose to name my gifted brothers and sisters after our African horizon, because that is our inspiration. As all humanity strives to achieve new standards of greatness, so too do we, as humans reborn, aspire to fulfill our destiny. We crave nothing less than to reach beyond something that was once so distant it was considered unknowable. Tomorrow, the unknowable may rest in the palm of our hands. So again, these are the teleporters based in Africa, and they disappeared after the attack on the orbital station Esperanza that crashed into France, basically destroying it. So that's that order. And then the Chitrabanu, they're the quantum kinetics that basically, in a sense, were able to use subquantum energy to like tap into like nuclear energy, like a quantum energy, so like the power that the aberrants used. And like this is like 2108, where like they were deemed to be in league with the aberrants, and like the whole order was like in a sense destroyed. So like going like through this real quick, like yeah, like as early as 2107 is actually like I said 2108, so but like the proxy, the leader of this Burano, his last public appearance was 2109. So like you can see like roughly like 10, 11 years before this game actually opens up, they were like because they were, like I said, deemed to be in league with the aberrants and everything. So those are the two orders that like did come out, with the other six, but like either like vanished like the as the teleporters, or destroyed as the Banu War. So those are basically like the 8 orders, and of the ones I went over, the 6 that you can actually play through. So this wraps up the good old delving deeper into like a Trinity with the Psi orders. So up next, I'm going to be getting into like the actual playthroughs of games and stuff. So like most likely I'll probably start off with Hero Quest. I a recent video of like a Legend of Drizzt board game. Probably get into the playthrough of that, and so at least for midweek ones. So like take keep an eye out for those videos, so that way you kind of get a good example of how board games work, and then it gives you a good idea on like, oh yeah, how you can import that stuff into your D&D campaign, or maybe even Pathfinder and everything. So here ends the deep delve into the Psi orders for Trinity.